All right, and did you want to do the intro?
I would love to. Lowly, 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 low. Right, all good.
1, 2, 3, listen.
Welcome to the DotCast from NineDots. NineDots is the online learning community for wedding photographers. You can become a member and find out about our annual conference, the NineDots Gathering, at NineDots.co.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the NineDots DotCast. My name is Andy Gaines. Joining me today is my companion, Adam Johnson.
Hello there, Andy Gaines.
Hey. How's tricks?
It's all good. How's life been for you since the last time we spoke?
It's excellent, dude. It was the weekend. I did no work because I'd have had no weddings this weekend, which was great. And now I am back working again, which is fine because work is good. How about you?
Yeah, good. Same. I mean, I had quite a productive week last week, actually. Considering it was the first week of the year, I didn't find it that difficult to just get back into the swing of sitting at the computer and doing work. But
I had the opposite feeling.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. But what's it be when you say you're working? Like, what are you going to be working on? What today, for instance, after the highlight of your day is done, speaking to me, like what are you going to be doing for the rest of the day?
I am going to be culling a wedding that I shot at Christmas, or before Christmas. So yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, I mean, we should probably mention that again, as we're missing the meat in our sandwich. We're missing Rahul Khona. He's not here with us. He's not here with us this week because he's still on holiday somewhere in the Far East, I think.
So who is here?
Oh,
instead,
that's a great question. Well, today, joining us on the DotCast for the first time ever. Well, it's DotCast not very old, so everybody who joins us is going to be for the first time ever. But we're joined by NineDots Gathering 2020 presenter Nadia Meli.
Woo!
Hi, Nadia.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Andy.
Hey.
How are you doing? And you're where in the world are you right now?
In the world, I am in the same place as you guys are, kind of. I am in England. I live in Brighton, by the sea. It's really nice here. The sun is shining, and I'm good. Having a great day.
Awesome. Where you're not obviously from Brighton though. You're brought up in Germany, right? Or you're from Germany but you're Italian. What's your kind of story there?
I like that you did your research.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well done. Yes, I am. That's the story. I am Italian. I was born in Italy, and I have an Italian family, but I grew up in Germany. And I lived in Germany my whole life until about 3 years ago when I moved to Brighton. That's basically the story in a nutshell.
Do you feel Italian, German, English, a mixture of all three, or where do you identify as kind of? Do you identify as being, who do you feel you are?
That is a very
deep question.
Loaded question. Yeah. I don't identify as anything. So basically, if someone asks me, I say I'm Italian. That's like the quick answer. I have an Italian passport, so I consider myself Italian, but I am both, and I'm neither. I think that's the best way to put it. It's just a strange mix of things, and I feel like living in England for me is like a sweet spot because England is kind of a mix of Italian and German mentality. So I feel like this is for me the best place to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. It must be good. It must be nice to have that like breadth of experience of cultures and be able to have, to draw on that and be able to have seen all those different, like you say, like the Italian way of doing things, the German way of doing things, the English way is kind of in the middle. And that's cool.
It is, I think now, as a grown up, I find it very enriching. I didn't always feel that way, but now I'm very glad to have all these different sources inside of me because I kind of can pick the best of all worlds, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Citizen of the world, though, basically. You're just basically a citizen of the world.
Yes, yeah. I for a long time I thought, oh my gosh, I feel like a woman with no country, but now I'm like, well, I'm just going to be a woman with 3 countries. It's fine.
Amazing. Yeah. Just use all the countries. It's perfect.
Exactly.
And obviously later in this year, you're going to be presenting with us at the 2020 NineDots Gathering.
Woo-woo.
How are you feeling about that?
I'm very excited because I've heard a lot of great things about it. You guys are famous, apparently. I have to admit, I didn't know what NineDots was before you got in touch. And then I looked into it, and then I heard from other photographers here in Brighton. I was like, oh, they told me like they go every year and they love it, and people fell in love there. I heard all kinds of stuff.
I know, yeah.
Wow.
Chris and Alini, that fell in love.
Yes. Oh, you do know. Great.
Exactly. Yeah, they fell in love at one of our parties. That's just what we do for people. We just just enrich people's lives. I mean, I love the fact that you gave us a bit of an ego boost and then an instant humility reality check when you went, I hear you guys are famous. I've never heard of you.
But that's the thing, I think, with everything. Someone can be very known in their niche area, but then and also don't take my word to, I didn't live here in England. So, that's the other thing.
It's fine. We actually appreciate it.
I know the German wedding industry very well. I don't know the English one yet so well, so bear with me.
That's cool. But that's important, really. I mean, that whole thing about, I mean, fame in the wedding industry is a ridiculous concept anyway.
Yeah.
But fame in, I guess, any small industry like ours is a ridiculous concept. And Andy's very keen on this general idea that, don't get ideas above your station just because a few people know or have seen your pictures or have heard of your little brand that exists in your little corner of the industry. It's quite a hot topic for you, Andy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, only in as much as it's just, like you just said, it's just kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
Exactly.
Or we're making pictures for people at their weddings, beyond that, like what it doesn't really, I just find it crazy that there's an industry that's grown up around that in itself. But I guess, we're kind of part of that. So I kind of embrace it. But at the same time, I realize how it is kind of ridiculous. But I think as long as you're able to see that and not get caught up in it, then it's all good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird to be in an industry and in a community where you're part of it, but then you don't agree with everything, and kind of finding that line to walk where you want to be in it, but you also have to express the stuff that you think is negative about it and things you think that you could change, or it's just a fine line, I find. Yeah.
No, definitely. I mean, the greatest thing about the industry now, I think, is that you can just do your own thing. And we've always said this in NineDots. You don't have to be annoyed at the way somebody else is doing it or whatever it is. You can just ignore it and just do your own thing on your own path. And that's always like our mantra in NineDots since the beginning has always been create your own awesome. And what that means is that we try and encourage people to just find their own thing and do that instead of us like standing up or doing the gathering or whatever and trying to promote one single style of photography or single style of running a business and saying this is the right way to do it. We've never done that because we think the best way to run a business and also for us to teach people to help people run their businesses and be photographers is to encourage them to find that within themselves, to find their own thing and do their own thing and kind of be really single-minded in that. So yeah, let's get this. It's good
for life in general, isn't it?
True. So. Very true. Very true. Anyway, it is the new year. I mean, it's the 13th of January today when we're recording this. This won't go out on the 13th, but and I met a friend the other day and I said Happy New Year to him, and we were kind of bantering about like, when do you stop saying Happy New Year? Like what is there like a cutoff date in January or in the year when you're supposed to stop saying Happy New Year?
I don't know, maybe the end of the, or I think maybe
today. I think we draw the line in the sand today.
I think it's when you meet someone for the first time in the new year. I felt like the last 2 weeks people were, every time if I met someone the first time in the new year, they would just say Happy New Year because we haven't seen each other yet. Like I don't know.
But what if you didn't see somebody?
I meet a friend in March.
Well, you just say Happy New Year in March.
Yeah, we'll just hug it out and yeah.
But it is the new year, and I would not the week before last on the podcast we spoke about just generally things like New Year's resolutions and setting goals for the new year. And Nadia, like the reason one of the reasons, obviously there are many reasons that we can't possibly go into, but one of the reasons that I thought we'd be great to have a chat with you today is that you did a little series on your Instagram story a couple of weeks ago talking about like goal setting and planning for the year and that kind of thing. So, and it was probably a little bit different than what we talked about on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. So I thought it'd be good to just kind of continue that series really, and just helping people I guess, get their minds in order and start making mental to-do lists and things for the year ahead. So does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. What did you talk about in that other episode?
Well, not much. I mean, it was very loose. It was mainly, Andy mainly said he doesn't make resolutions.
Okay.
So that was helpful for people.
And I'd like to keep bees.
You're like, oh yeah, he wants to be a beekeeper.
Okay. So that's one of your goals for the year, or?
It's a very loose goal, but it is something that I'm interested in that I've never considered doing before.
Okay.
It's like it's more of a side project.
Side hustle. Side hustle.
Hopefully next year I'm going to be like king of honey, and I'll be running my honey empire. And
I mean, at least there's an end goal in sight now. There wasn't an end goal when we spoke last time.
Yeah.
Now you want to be king of honey. Like I feel better about the goal.
Yeah.
But I mean, last time we spoke just in general about who was it? The three of us. Was it with Rahul or not?
No, it's Isabel.
It's Isabel Hattink. Yeah, we had Isabel Hattink on, and she was. I mean, it was all very much like the general theme between the three of us that we didn't have many New Year's resolutions and didn't have many goals. Whereas when we saw your story, there seemed to be a little bit more structure and thought behind it. So I thought that would be helpful to just chat through, and I've even got a screenshot. I'm very well prepared. I've got a screenshot of it here, so we can go through there's like a 5-step. It was like a 5-step.
Yes, it's just 5 questions. It's quite simple. I think it's simple, but maybe for some people it's already too much. I don't know.
Well, no, I like the simplicity. I think simple's better. Like I in the new year made too many goals already, and even 2 weeks in now, I'm feeling the pressure of like trying to do too much at once. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, so I think I'm definitely guilty of always trying to do a little bit too much and pack a little bit too much in at this time of year. So, but I liked that yours was making people think a little bit deeper about what should drive their goals for the year.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the first, I reckon we just go through these. So number 1 was what am I doing? What did I do? What did I create or experience that I'm really proud of? Mm-hmm. So how does that start to drive into like setting goals?
That plays into it because if I reflect on the year that's passed and think about, well, what happened and what did I create, what did I do, or experience that I'm really proud of, that I really enjoyed, that I loved, then I kind of planning ahead, I can figure out, well, let's just do more of that. Like, do I want to do more of that? Do I want to have more of those experiences? Can I create more of the same? And therefore have a happier business and life this year as well. So that is kind of what I like to focus on at first as the first question, because it also kind of sets the tone for the rest of it, like not feeling like a failure, like, oh, what goals did I not achieve this year so that I can transfer them to the next year and do them this year, like kind of, it kind of sets the goal more of focusing on the stuff that was good, that I succeeded in, that I loved. So that's why I kind of like to start off with that question.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's super important. I think we have mentioned this before, but it's like it is really good to look back and say, like, how did I kill it this year? Because it is so easy to get bogged down in the stuff you didn't achieve, or the things you missed out on, or the things you didn't do as well as you were hoping you were going to do. But actually, everybody, if you look back, there's so much stuff where you've achieved, even if you don't at the time, you can't see it. And it's so important to be able to look back and give yourself that pat on the back, I think, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because naturally, a lot of the times, the negative stuff sticks with us more. Even if there's maybe less negative things, there's more positive things, but they hurt more, so they stay with us more. Like if you get 25 nice comments on Instagram and one stupid comment or one troll, then that will really hurt you more, and you forget about the 25 nice ones.
Yeah, exactly right. You always dwell on the bad stuff.
Yes. So I think that's why I love to start with what was actually really good, and what do I want to do more of? What do I want to repeat coming into the new year, basically? Yeah.
And so for you, when you're asking yourself that, are you thinking about just professional, like just your work, just the art you've done, or the images or the work you've done, or are you thinking like personally, or are they kind of one and the same, or how does it? Everything. Okay.
When I write these down, I think of everything, like work-wise in my business, obviously, and then also personally, what are the things that in my personal life were great and I want to do more of? Definitely both. So the whole list of questions is for both my business and life. Yeah.
It's just to reiterate what Andy said, really. I think that's the one thing that most people will gloss over to begin with, is thinking of the things that they're already doing really well.
Yeah.
Already enjoying or have been successful so far, and just immediately get into like all the things that are bad about themselves, you know, whether it's personal, you know, whether it's your weight, or you didn't read enough books, or you didn't, you know, you watch too much TV, or whatever it might be. Like, people instantly get into, I think, the things that are wrong and try and fix those things, instead of like starting off with a really strong foundation of saying, well, I love all these things about my life, my business already. Yeah. So they need to stay. They need to remain as like the foundation, and then I'll build on that. So yeah, like very important. That's cool. But in terms of like a wedding photographer for their business for the year ahead, like what would that be like? Thinking about the kind, like, I don't know, really, like the favorite weddings that you had that year, or and starting to think about it in that way, or is it more of a?
It could be anything, really. It could be thinking about the weddings you experienced that you really loved. Like, why did you love those more than others? And how can you multiply that? Like, that was for me a few years ago, a huge thing. And I went through this process as well, where I kind of reflected on the year ahead that passed, and realized, I enjoyed these weddings and I didn't enjoy these ones, and kind of realized what that was, where the difference was. And that was when I switched from just like general normal weddings to intimate wedding photography, and just did like small weddings, no big ones anymore. Because I realized actually the ones that I really enjoyed and that fit my personality more were intimate small weddings. So it could be anything. It could be, the type of weddings. It could be, what did you do in terms of communication with your clients that really worked, and that you're really proud of? What jobs did you book, or like, where did you speak? What did you teach that you're really proud of, that you really enjoyed? Even like the people you met, and the people you worked with, like what was the thing that really worked and that you really enjoyed? And yeah, it could be anything in terms of weddings, like clients. It could be the marketing. It could be the actual shooting of the wedding. Because we all know, like, with every wedding, you still learn stuff. You're like, ooh, this was good, and this wasn't that great. Like, so yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like, obviously, like, that's kind of good advice, and it's a good thing that everyone should do. But I think that being able to kind of, like you just said, kind of objectively, like, self-analyze, like, what and why. So rather than looking back and going, you know, like, oh, I love that, you know, or I love this wedding, or this was a great month, but just then drilling down to the next level and kind of saying, okay, well, objectively, like, why did I not like that? You know, like, what was it? Was it the venue? Was it the couple? Was it my lack of skills? Or was it whatever it is? Like, and being able to objectively ask yourself and answer that, and then maybe go another layer further until you start to say, so what I really love is this, and what I really don't like is this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I probably should add that if I post this again next year, I should add that to the first question, because I didn't, because I do it anyway automatically. Is that I am a big why person. I always ask myself why. And so, with that question, what did I do that I'm proud of or that worked? I always ask myself, the next question is why? Like, why did I like this, and why did this work? And I kind of go to the core of it. So with the example I mentioned before with the intimate weddings, I basically ask myself why, and kind of realize, well, the person I am, my personality and character, I am more of an introvert, even though people don't believe me, is I do just enjoy the smaller groups much more, and I thrive in smaller groups. So even professionally, that is the setting I want to put myself in. So I think, adding the why and the what question to that is super important. Yeah.
Nice. It's perfect. I mean, I think as well, you know, when you do think back and you think, for instance, if you think about a wedding that you really loved this year, and I guess it's something we'll talk about at some point in the future, but at a very basic level, in reality, that was probably your ideal client. Like, well, you know, this one of the things that's kind of almost like a catchphrase these days. Find your ideal client. And the easiest way to find your ideal client is to think about a wedding you really loved. And in reality, that wedding, those clients and everything that went along with it was probably your ideal client. So it starts to be quite easy then to start to, you know, build that ideal client as a real thing. So yeah, no, that's cool. Absolutely. So point 2 on your little list was, what mistakes did I make that taught me something, and how can I leverage those lessons?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, what can I say? It's pretty self-explanatory.
It's the opposite of the first one, isn't it, really?
It's kind of the opposite, yes. But also, I mean, I think even having a bit of distance from stuff that happened during the year, it's nice to like give yourself some grace, even looking at your mistakes, and kind of, again, take apart, like kind of deconstructing what happened, like why did it happen? And was it in how much was it my fault? Was it maybe wrong communication? Was it different expectations from clients towards me and I didn't like communicate it right? Or where was the crucial point in what happened? Like you can kind of, because when something goes wrong at first, it's kind of, I feel like it's harder to look at it with more perspective and be more gentle and kind of and more realistic. And at first it feels like the world is like going down.
And also when you're kind of close to things, it's very hard to be able to blame yourself. Like you always want to defend yourself, whereas over time it's easy to say, oh yeah, like I messed up, or like that I did that, that was my fault, rather than I was there, it's their fault, it's the client's fault, or whatever,
Yeah. So that is important. Again, like to look at the mistake, but then also think, well, how can I use this for good for next time?
Yeah.
And how can I, learn from this, or whatever. Like you can even mistakes are wonderful, I think, because you learn from it, other people learn from it if you share about it. It's all in all, it's a great process. I think mistakes are great.
No, we do. The thing as well is, I mean, like Andy says, when you make a mistake, whatever, big or small, it's easy to just instantly try and turn your back on it and put that out of your mind and act like it didn't happen, and just try and move on as if it didn't happen. But with perspective and with time, you can then look back on it and go, well, why did that happen? And what caused it to happen? And how can I make sure it doesn't happen again? Like all this. Yeah. I mean, that's.
Is that how you guys feel? Because I feel like usually for me, it's the opposite. When something goes wrong, I feel like, oh my God, like everything's crumbling. Like this is all my fault. Like I feel like completely the opposite. But with time and perspective, like I can look at it more clear. Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm saying though, really. So in the first place, you just think it's all your fault and you just need to run away as fast as you can from that mistake.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
But I was going to say that there's also the danger of the opposite, though. It's like, certainly, let's say here in our industry is more that something goes wrong, and it's often a case of, it's like, like the classic thing would be kind of unhappy clients, right?
Yeah.
So when a client is unhappy at the time, it's very easy to be defensive, and it's very easy to blame them, and it's very easy to put your back up and be right. No, I'm standing my ground, and I'm doing it, and to be very precious about things. But with when you can step back, or you can get other people's perspectives on it, or where you can look back later on in time, you can say, oh yeah, actually I see that point, or I understand, it's easier maybe to be less personally attached with whatever the mistake or the problem was, Yeah.
I guess, it depends. What kind of mistake it is. Absolutely. Yeah. There's two reactions to it, definitely.
But that's why it's so important, like what you've put here, like how can I leverage those lessons? So turning those mistakes into lessons that you then kind of set plans for the year ahead and the future in general, just to so those things don't happen again. Strong.
Yeah, that has helped me so many times, like in creating PDFs for clients, in like being super clear in my communication, in helping them succeed so I can succeed in my work.
Yeah.
that like learning from past mistakes has been so super important. Like, yeah,
for sure. And I think just that one point you made there, I think in our industry and with certainly with problems with clients, just to pick one kind of area of that, it's nearly always down to communication, like all the time. And nearly always a takeaway, certainly I found in the experience I've had mentoring other photographers, is that the experience is next time, just communicate more with them and give them more information and make sure that they're aware in advance and nip all those things in the bud. And then, over time you can kind of cover all your bases so that you get less and less problems, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I strongly think there's not really such a thing as a bad wedding or bad clients. Like nearly always the root cause is exactly that.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, okay, that's cool. So yeah, what mistakes did you make and how can you learn from them? Then number 3 is, what am I willing to let go of? This sounds like a deep one.
Yeah, it can be deep. It can be not deep, depending on where you apply that to. If you apply to business, it could be something really simple, I don't know. Although for some people, it can be also some really tough stuff. Like, I don't know, years ago already, when it comes to wedding, I outsourced my editing. And I loved that. I thought that was a great idea. And I got a lot of criticism from the photographers for that. And people were like, oh my gosh, you're not a real artist, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 years later, I had those same people contact me and be like, could you give me the name of your editing company? And kind of, this was like, it was kind of a shifting moment, but like stuff like that. I talk to photographers who are buried under editing, like they're buried under, they cannot catch up with their work, but they're not willing to let go of editing. So that's just one example of like 100. So it could be something simple in business, and if you apply it to life, that question, that could be something more deep, something more, defining maybe. It depends really, but I think that is a huge one, because adding goals to your life and things you want to do and plans is great, but I think it's as important to let go of stuff as well.
Yeah. Almost to make space for the new stuff, right?
Exactly. And make space and improvement a lot of times has to do with actually getting rid of things as well, not just adding things. So
yeah. I mean, on the last podcast we spoke about how like sending instant previews to your clients has become a thing, and it's almost becoming more and more and more of a thing, and people are putting more and more pressure on themselves to get pictures out instantly within hours of the wedding. Sometimes even staying up till the middle of the night after a wedding just to edit these previews. And we don't know, last time we were talking, it was like, where did this craze come from, and why are people allowing it to cause themselves stress? And when they don't even really know why they're doing it, other than the fact that they're doing it because other photographers do it. So it could be something as small as that, just looking for the pain points in your business and what causes them, and whether that's something that needs to stay or can go or can be outsourced or somebody else can help with, or whatever it might be. So that's a cool one.
Yeah, I mean, and also both those are just like solid examples of the stuff we were saying before, where it's, you can do whatever you want, but a lot of the things that photographers, I find, or in the wedding industry do, are based on what everyone else seems to be doing. So no one else seems to be outsourcing their editing, so therefore you can't outsource your editing. Except you can if you want to, and the world doesn't end. And
or the one loud
previews and
exactly. Or the one loud judgmental person in that Facebook group you're in thinks outsourcing is a bad idea, and their voice is so loud that you can't not. Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And I think exactly what you're saying, you can do whatever you want, just know your why. Why are you doing it? Because that's the thing. I think it's so mindless oftentimes. Like, we just do it because the industry is dictating it. Oh,
exactly.
Doing it, so I must do. Like, I do previews as well, not the same night. Like the day after. And for me, my why is because I know that obviously with the phones and everything, the first images of the wedding are already up the same day, like from friends, from family. And I want my clients' emotions from the day to be really fresh and associated with my photography.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to see my pictures like 3 months later or 3 months after the wedding. So I kind of, that is my reason why I do it. And and obviously everyone can have their own reason. But I think it's just important, whatever you do, whatever you let go of, just know why. Why are you doing this? Like, that is, I always come back to the why, honestly. It's just the most important. Do you know the book Start With Why?
Yeah, Simon Sinek or Sinek, or however you say it.
Simon Sinek. I love, like, that's my Bible. I love that book.
I need to read it. I own the book. I just haven't read it, so I should probably read it.
Good. It's amazing.
Yeah. All right. So the next number 4 then was what do I want? Brackets, projects, and goals. I'm going to skip over that one because that sounds fairly kind of similar to what we talked about last time, which was set projects and set goals for yourself. And I'm going to move on because we've not got ages left. Like, I want to talk about number 5, which is seems like the big one, but like, who do I want to be? And like, I don't know. I don't know who I want to be. I want to be Andy Gaines.
You want to be the king of bees.
It's overrated. It's overrated.
Yeah, so I've heard. Andy Gaines told me that.
Well, you want to be the king of honey, so you know who you want to be.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm envious of that, dude.
But when you say kind of like, who do I want to be? How do you? Like, that's obviously a big, deep question. I mean, what do you like? On what level are you asking yourself that question? And do you think it's possible to decide who you want to be and be that person? Or is that something, you know, do you believe that you can kind of be whoever you want to be on that level?
Yeah. So the level I go to, it's 2 levels, I guess. It's, and I like to just like go not crazy on the idea, but like, I like to like dream ahead as well and think, well, one level is who do I want to be in general, like in my life, like when I'm older, like looking back, like what is the person I want to be? Like a person of integrity, a person of trust, of love, a person of encouragement to others. Like, who do I want to be? And then also just on the other level, the year ahead, like, who do I want to be this year? And I think identity is something that's definitely shifting, something that is organic and it's flowing and it always changes and it can grow. And yeah, it can be, you know, you can be many different versions in one life, of course. So it's not something that I write down and I decide. So this is now who I am. There's obviously so much room and space to grow, which is also on my list. Like, I want to be a person. I want to always be a student. I want to be able to grow and learn. I don't want to be someone that is not teachable, that doesn't listen to others, or like, you know, that thinks like knows it all. Or so, it's who do I want to be? For me, I have it on the list because I think for me personally, it's just important to not just write down what, like, what do I want to do? What did I do? What do I want to achieve? Like all those things, but actually the essence, like, who do I want to be as a person? With that, if I strip away work, money, and the identity of like being a photographer, like my business, if I strip that away, what is left? Like, who do I want to be as a person in my relationships, in myself? Like, I find that super crucial because I think it comes full circle. Who I am is the foundation of my work as well, of my business. So it is important, like, to have that foundation and know who am I, like, and yeah. So that
I like it. I like that you've made it a simpler concept for me as well, because it's like, it doesn't have to be this big, huge, like in 20 years time, picture yourself thing. It could just be those little things, like you said, like willing to learn and whatever it might be on a day-to-day basis, like saying yes to things or, you know, it could be even like the old cliche, like do something every day that scares you kind of concept. And or the person that's always trying to, like, you know, have a new experience, whether it's once a month, once a year, whatever it might be. It could just be small things. Exactly. Doesn't have to be like a huge reinvention of self. You don't have to be Madonna.
No, it's like it's those little things, and then they kind of add up to they add up to who you become, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
If you do those small things, like, I want to be more present, for example, in my relationships. What does that, okay, and then like the next step is, what does that mean? Like, do I put my phone in my bag when I'm out with a friend? Or like, I don't know, like simple things, or like, having a new experience every month, whatever. Little things, and they add up to who you become in 20 years time, basically. So
or maybe you just want to be the king of bees.
Yeah.
King of honey. Yeah, I got it wrong.
When I see you next time, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have a little swarm follow me around, like a friendly swarm.
Oh my goodness. I want to have a pot of honey when I meet you in November.
Yeah.
That's a big ask, given that I don't have bees or a beehive yet.
Well,
I don't know how it works, but I'm sure we can work it out.
You have 10 months time, so
that's true. And if it all goes wrong, I've got a little label printer, and I can go to Sainsbury's and just stick my own label over the front, and you'll never know. So I mean,
I'll never know. You could just say King of Honey.
Exactly, yeah. King of honey. There you go.
And again, it's King of Honey. That could also, I mean, even if you don't become a beekeeper, that could be your comeback album with Cardboard Radio.
That's it. I'm gonna get back into music. King of Honey, the Honey King.
It sounds quite middle. It sounds a bit too middle of the road for you as an album name, though.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm getting older now. I should embrace the LR in me. It's fine.
Oh, I love that. Were you a musician?
I was after fashion. Yeah, before I got into photography. Yeah.
Right. Cool.
He still is. He still is at heart.
Yeah, in my spare time. Yeah.
Yeah. It never leaves you, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favourite memories in life really is being serenaded by Andy Gaines on the porch of a shack in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Yes.
Just the two of us. Just the two of us.
That's
good times.
So romantic.
It was. He even made up a song about me.
Did I?
Oh.
Yeah, he did. Well, it was loosely about me.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it wasn't about me, but I thought it was about me.
Oh, you thought?
Yeah.
Let's just assume it was.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of my goals, dude, is to get back there.
Oh,
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, just back to Clarksdale, back to Duke. Is it Duke Fest, the festival they do there?
Yes, in April.
Yeah, we need to do it. Anyway,
we have gone off topic.
We have. I reckon we could talk about this for hours, but I think we've all got things to do with our days. So Nadia, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's really fun. Really nice.
Come back again sometime, and I think there's more we could talk about.
Yes, definitely. And I'll see you anyway in November.
We'll see you then, yeah.
The latest. Yeah, it's going to be.
Definitely will. And I'll see you very soon, Andy Gaines.
Yes. Okay, then, team. Good times. And it's been fun. And hopefully we will see you all. And I say all as in all the listeners very soon.
Yeah. See you later, King of Honey.
Soon.
1, 2, 3. Listen.
You can listen to previous episodes of the DotCast anywhere people normally listen to podcasts, and you can find out more about NineDots membership and the NineDots Gathering at NineDots.co.